Hello everybody, welcome back. We're going to do the stream tonight. If you want to join for that, Patreon is the link for you. So we've noticed a lot of fear in the market. So much fear that the last I checked, the fear and greed index was like 16. 16, right? 16. And traditionally, like, it's this type of year, this time of year that we often see a nice little pump in the markets anyway, just observationally, it's just saying. And if we look at this with fresh eyes, we can see a formation within this latter stage of the Bitcoin pump of 2025, where you've got a series of highs, a series of lows, and it's a bit of a rising channel. And we've got the bullish divergence drive 1 here and 2 here, 3. So that's hidden bullish divergence. This is Bitcoin's weekly, by the way. And yeah, we've lost certain moving averages that count for a lot. And so I'm not saying that the only way is up. I'm just putting it to you. Now, someone's posted something on my Telegram today saying there's a death cross. What do we do about that? Well, there's an incoming death cross. Seems unavoidable on exponentials and simple moving average. So the best thing to think about is should we backtest this really in this? Should we see when, or has this ever happened? Recently, has it ever happened? It has. So it's quite hard to see because the 50 exponentials are very thin. But there was a death cross here, right here, here. So marking off basically the low. We had some regular bullish divergence as well as a kicker on that one. Don't really have any bull dibs on this one, to be fair. But again, death cross took place here, and we basically carved out a low, narrowly avoiding the exponential death cross. To be honest, I don't think we've seen an exponential death cross in a while. When else did we see a death cross? There was the death cross here on simple moving averages. That's your 200 simple and 50 simple moving average. It formed a death cross around here as well. The low had already been carved out. We did have a drive of bullish divergence. Exponentials didn't death cross those, worth recognising. Any more? Any more? Yeah, so we had a death cross here as well on simple moving averages. Okay, that more or less marked a low for this market too. Prior to that, though, it's all just been the one death cross that took place in the previous bear market of 2022. It took place here. And that did have a negative reaction. We did move into it, though, to retest it, which is a very common occurrence. So, look, whether you're bullish or bearish on the death cross, Bitcoin has shown that actually the death crosses on simple moving averages, worst case scenario, lead to a bear market, but you get a relief pump to basically exit positions into, which brings you up to $110,000 at this current death cross, or it's basically marked off the low, depending on how you want to interpret the overall market. So there's two ways to look at it. Both examples give at least some upside, don't they? And we are at this support as well, by the way. It's a 15% move on Bitcoin. Now, personally, yes, death crosses do mean something to me. Exponentials do, at least, anyway. And it looks like that exponential death cross is unavoidable. I think we are likely to get it. So it is what it is. It's bearish, obviously, and you'd be looking for a move into it, only to short positions from it. We can think about hedging, can't you, really? So you can hedge short into it while holding positions. You certainly wouldn't be taking positions at it. You could take positions now to get out of positions there, or you could get out of positions that you're already in if you get that relief rally into it. However, it might not always be that simple. There's other things to think about. In fact, let's just go right back in time to Bitcoin's previous bull market. So this was super turbo bullish, and I just want to reflect on one thing. I know I spoke about it yesterday, but this was a consolidation down towards a 50 exponential moving average for Bitcoin in 2021. So it was constructive and it was consistent, and it wasn't driven by fear or anything like that. It was overheated, and we were overheated all the way after that. But throughout that period, you did have a period of altcoins rallying. It was quite nice, actually. I enjoyed that time. Those were the days. Now, I think that we're looking at something similar at the moment, just based on the dominance chart, which is still moving down as we expected, from its own rejection here on this box and again on this box. We move over to the weekly. It's the center of a Bollinger Band. It's been rejected from as well. Rejected on across the board. And if you move over to a 4 hourly, you're sort of like dribbling down with death crosses forming here as well. So you've got a bearish dominance chart. It's been bearish for a while actually. And now we're continuing to be bearish. So crypto's bearish as a whole. Bitcoin appears to be bearish also, although we are at supports. But with the dominance chart sort of spilling over like this, makes me wonder, how's the rest of the market going to perform? Are we going to see uptrends on altcoins now? I think we are. Honestly, I do. And that's why I'm really sort of heavy on the longs at the moment. If anyone's on the Telegram, you see I'm posting quite a lot of longs. I've avoided longs for a while now. Really sort of took a step back from it all since this move here. So now I'm back in business, and I'm looking to hopefully take these longs to, in some cases, new all-time highs. Other cases, significantly higher than where they are right now. So I'm looking to have a nice time of those positions. So let's have a look at Ethereum as an overall guide. So obviously this has been bearish for a while now. We've got the death cross retest all the way down, turning around a little bit with momentum. You've got resistance at 3,500. Moving over to the daily, you've got incoming death crosses, but they're not quite here yet. So not as bearish from a formation perspective as Bitcoin. And again, this one has bullish divergence. So no death cross even at this stage now. It doesn't look like you're going to get a death cross for the best part of a week if we stay down at these lower levels. Probably maybe even more. And you've got signs of momentum shifting to move up. So I actually think that this is much better than this. This is flipping bearish. This could quite easily go bearish, but it's not as bad. You've got a change of momentum, plus the death crosses are about a week away. We go to Litecoin. So Litecoin did get death crosses already, but it's getting picked up around the center of a Bollinger Band here on the daily. So all altcoins are different. Yes, so this is a golden cross retest, bounce, possible recovery. Even over the last sort of 8 hours, we've seen a retest of your 50 exponential golden cross on the 4 hourly. So all things considered, things are different here. We've got XRP getting picked up from this horizontal, which is all quite nice as well. Lots of bullish divergence on the 4 hourly, bullish divergence on the daily as well. Death crosses, obviously, you see the rejection here. And that's the sort of reaction that you'll be looking for Bitcoin on. If it moves back up to that $110,000, might not reject, but if it did, that would be a big place for it to happen. A single drive's bullish divergence down here as well. So I'm just whizzing through a load of things. I'm not here to convince you any way, or I'm not here to say anything other than this is what I think is going to happen. This is where my money's going. It's going into the alts, and it's going not just into alts, but into futures. Altcoin futures. Total 2 has got the classic bull div here with the lower low, with the higher low. This is all good. No death cross on this daily. So again, presented in a more bullish, I wouldn't say more, less bearish, should we say, not bullish, less bearish than Bitcoin. So if we want to talk about death crosses on Bitcoin, that's fine, but does it correspond to the rest of the market? And it doesn't actually. We've got altcoins showing not quite the opposite, but it's basically not as bearish. I should put it like that. So total 2 still downtrending here, but turning around, I think, will be a bit of a rounded bottom here with some bullish divergence to kick. This is also bullish divergence here, and here it's just not marked off on the chart. So look, long story short, I think there is a very good case for altcoins. Immediately, basically, even if Bitcoin has its death cross, I'm still looking at altcoins as the place to be, or at least the opportunity. It might be a risky one, but this is crypto. If you're not happy with risk, I wouldn't bother with the market at all. Do you know what I mean? So I always try and say to people who are trying to join the market, this is like parents in the queue when I go pick my kids up and they find out what I do. He goes, I've always been interested in that. Maybe you could help guide me. And I always say to them, look, it's very risky. I'm at one with the risk. I'm happy with the risk, and generally, I make way more money than I lose, although I do lose money, so you've got to accept that. It's part of the game. Are you comfortable with that? Oh, yes, of course I am. They're not comfortable with it. Most people aren't comfortable with it, because if they were comfortable with it, you wouldn't see all the upset comments on Twitter, throughout Telegram, and just in general, even on my YouTube comments. You can tell that people are not happy with the risk that they've taken. They hadn't thought it through. So what I'm saying now is, despite everybody being upset, salty, disappointed, frustrated, at a loss, the dominance chart is facing down. Lots of altcoins are sort of pointing up. Bitcoin, is going down and is pointing down. But the fear and greed index is like 16. Alright? Just like when bulls get super excited, I think, when I made that video, like going back now a few months now, and I said, I think there's a bit of a peak in the market now, I think we're going to see a big crypto drop, people went crazy at me. You don't know what you're talking about, we're going straight up, rah, rah, rah. I was like, geez, just saying what it looks like. I'm not saying it will happen, just saying what it looks like. Happy to take some chips off the table in order to buy back low. It's just the part of the game. Didn't like that. Up only. So now it's down only. It's down only, right? So whether people are taking, should I say, no, I wouldn't say taking profit, selling their crypto, whether it's at profit or at loss, selling their crypto, shorting, which is even worse, at these lower levels, because now it would appear that down only is the new cool thing. I'm here to say that there's not enough evidence for it to say it's going to turn around and just go straight up to the moon. But there is some evidence to say that it will turn around, even if for a dead cat bounce on Bitcoin, giving a 15% pump, altcoins, maybe double that. Who knows if there's an alt season that continues after that. Alt seasons, or at least parabolic rallies in the market, almost always happen immediately after sentiment has hit an all-time low. But the reason being, the sells have gone. There's no sellers left. So order books are thin as hell. Trading volume is trickled down to bare minimums. And it doesn't take much money for the charts to be moved. Remember, green and red candles are less to do with price and way more to do with emotion. Otherwise you wouldn't have something like the fear and greed index that gets referenced all the time. I always try to explain this. When you see a green candle or a red candle, for the vast majority of the time, it's a reflection of emotions in the market, not price. Yes, it's value, it's price, you sell for that figure. But how did it get there? People either crapped their pants for it to go down low, or they borrowed money off their auntie, because they've run out already, and Captain Noobmaster just follows the crowd. I'm not saying any of you are Noobmaster. I'm not saying any of that. I think maybe being able to detach myself from what it is that I'm looking at and thinking about it in those sort of terms helps. I don't know if anyone out there plays poker, but I feel like that's very useful in the world of trading. I feel like you are constantly bluffing and trying to work out what the market is saying it's going to do versus what it is going to do. Counterintuitive, I always say that. But anyway, long story short, I think the sellers have sold. They can always sell more, but I think generally the sellers have sold. Order books are low. Volume is thin across the board for altcoins. And it does, and it is actually pointing to, if not just a dead cat bounce, a relief rally, a significant one, and maybe even continuation of that into what we used to call an alt season. I think it's pending. I think we're just waiting for it right now. And again, I'm in positions, and I will certainly take more positions if we go down lower, because this is the way it presents to me. Okay? So that's me anyway. I'm not saying you do it, it's just me. Right, so if you want to join the live stream tonight, feel free. There's links in the description below. It's all part of the Patreon, as well as a variety of other links. You need to check your regional situation for some of those links. But yeah, other than that, hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.